In this module, we are going to talk about recruitment per se. So, as we have already defined recruitment, it is a process of finding and attracting the right kind of talent pool to for a particular position in an organization, and that is what recruitment is all about. So, we would start with again what is the process which we follow in recruitment. First of all, we need to understand and identify what is the vacancy for which we are going to recruit people, and once we have that vacancy with us, we should be very clear what is the job a person supposed to do and what kind of person fits into that sort of job. So we are talking about job description and job specification. So if you are aware and if you have seen any job advertisement in any of these job portals or newspapers, you would see that this is very clearly written the designation, the kind of responsibilities, and the kind of qualification and experience a person is required to have for that to apply for that particular job. So recruitment process, we need to be very clear with these first two steps. The job analysis part should have been done in the organization. We presume that some kind of human resource planning has been done in the organization, and that is when an effective recruitment process can be conducted or initiated. And then once we have done that, we would be kind of locating and developing the sources. Where do we find that kind of applicant pool? Where do we find that kind of talent? Do we visit campuses? Do we advertise in newspapers? If yes, then what kind of newspapers? Because again, it is not just that you can give an advertisement in a national newspaper for something which is just for a post, a very junior post in the office. It could be better that if it is a local newspaper, which would serve the purpose better than having an English newspaper or at a national level. So that sort of planning needs to be done, that what source is the best source to attract the right kind of talent pool. And then of course, the once we start receiving the applications, we will begin with the shortlisting process, but that's exactly where the selection process starts. So this is typically your recruitment process. So why are we going in for this sort of recruitment? What is the need of what preempts this recruitment process? See, there are three types of needs. One is it could be planned. For example, a lot of planned activities happen in the organization. Now, these days, there are companies which are merging, which are being bought out, which banks are being merged together. So that is a very planned activity. So once that is happening, so whether they would be needing new people, that can be easily planned out. That once this organizational structural change happens within the organization, then what kind of manpower would be required? Whether they need people from external source or whether they can do it internally itself, so that can easily be planned. So that is one. Then otherwise it is anticipated. Like these days, the festival season is on, so e-commerce companies are hiring people on ad hoc basis or contractual basis because they anticipate that their workload is going to increase because the online sales are increasing. So they anticipate uh, uh, more, I would say, manpower requirement. So to fulfill that manpower requirement, again, that recruitment is process can be anticipated. And then the third type could be the unexpected ones when people resign, when people kind of, let's say there is some kind of mishap like death, accident, or illness, etc., that you need to replace those people. Then also you need to have that recruitment process which should be initiated. So these are the various types when this recruitment is required to be done with an organization. And otherwise, what is the purpose behind this whole process? What is the importance of recruitment process? To make it effective, first of all, we should ensure that right kind of candidates are being attractive. No point, just giving an advertisement and you receive so many applications. If it is not clearly defined, it will just increase the workload of the recruiter or the HR manager, because ultimately he or she will be required to go through all those applications and then pick up the suitable ones. So that is just wasting of time and effort. So to have to ensure that you have an effective recruitment process, we should make sure that we are attracting the right kind of candidates for the job. That means our job description and job specification should be very specific, so that we are not having any ambiguity around what kind of people are we attracting. Then of course, we should have this clarity regarding this various positions in the organization, because at times there are high turnover for some occupation. Example, call center, night shift. So there a lot of people join, yes, but then they also leave at a higher rate because soon they get fatigued, and it is understandable that people who are joining at these levels would be leaving soon. So for that, again, we need to be prepared, we need to be planned to have that pipeline of talent pool always available so that we can fill up those positions where there is high turnover. Finding the right inducements for attracting talent. What kind of people would apply? Or that also matters, because that ultimately gives us the return on investment of our efforts and money which we put in the advertisements. If we do not receive quality applications, the whole effort goes waste. So we should find the right kind of inducements when we are trying to give out that advertisement, that who should apply and why they should apply should be answered in that job advert itself. Then attract and encourage more and more candidates to apply in the organization. That is employers branding. Again, if your organization is a brand name itself, for example, if you are interested in this FMCG, I'm sure if tomorrow and you are an MBA student, companies like Hindustan Unilever, they come to your campus. I'm sure those who are aspiring to be in FMCG sector, they all will apply, right? Why? Because it is a brand name in itself. So that is what the ultimate aim or purpose of effective recruitment strategy is, to build up a employer's brand in a way that they do not have to really work hard at it, but the applicants, the people who are aspiring for job should be attracted towards the company and apply for the various jobs available within the company. Then creating a talent pool, that is again one of the purposes of effective recruitment, that it should be always ready with us. It's not that whenever there is a position vacant, the HR manager has to run helter skelter and find out what to do, how to do, where to find the candidates. There should be a proper talent pool for each and every position which is there in the organization. So the moment it becomes vacant, we should be ready with the talent pipeline. Conjunction with its personal planning and job analysis activities minimize unwarranted cost of selection. Because see, if the moment there is some ambiguity, or the job description or the planning is not proper, the whole effort which you put in the recruitment process is goes waste. So the if the wrong kind of person gets selected, it is a huge cost for the company. It is a kind of a wastage which happens if the wrong kind of person gets placed for that particular position, which was not properly defined, or which was not, let's say, if you hire a resource but he is not being optimally utilized. So that is where your HR planning also needs to be in conjuncture with your recruitment efforts. Helps increase in success rate of selection process by decreasing the number of visibly underqualified or overqualified job applicants. So it is somewhat related to the above point, that if you are doing it properly, the recruitment process is done properly, the screening part, the selection, then kind of the success rate of selection becomes higher, because that means the people who have been hired or selected are the right kind of people for that particular position. Helps reduce probability that job applicants once recruited and selected will leave the organization only after a short period of time. Again, the kind of money, effort and time which goes into that recruitment process, if the person who joins the organization and leaves the organization in a short time, it is again a huge cost for the company. So, an effective recruitment, it is important that one should be, the person who is selected should be such that he plans to be there in the organization for a long period of time. Otherwise, replacing a person within the short period is again a costly affair. Meet the organization's legal and social obligations regarding composition of workforce. So at times there are laws of the land, at times there are certain CSR kind of obligations of the company to meet those, diversity kind of composition. Like for example, be in public sector and government sector kind of organization, they have these reservations for, certain reserved categories are there, and as per law they have to meet that particular percentage, the seats are reserved, and they have to have people recruited for that particular quota which is reserved. So again, the whole effective recruitment process will be done if they are able to do it. Otherwise, the things can go against them. So this is the, I would say, in short, purpose and the importance of your effective recruitment process, right? So when going forward, we can say that what are the various factors which affect the recruitment. We need to understand that as well, that okay, this is the purpose, this is the importance, but what are the various factors which affect the recruitment process in an organization? These factors can be broadly categorized into internal factors and external factors. When we talk of internal factors, these could be like simple thing as recruitment policy. What is the policy of the organization? Now these policies are again impacted by your management, your culture, your organization structure. So it could be that the, as I said, public sectors and government sectors, they have a certain reservation policy which is not there in the private sector. So again, that is a recruitment policy which the company will follow. So that will impact what kind of recruitment process you are following. HR planning. If it is a sound HR plan where you have planned that, okay, every from July onwards, the company starts looking at various campuses around where they would want to pick up the engineer trainees or management trainees. So they will look for business schools, they will look for engineering colleges, and they will have that proper plan laid out that in next coming 3 4 months, this is the kind of visits they're going to make or the connects with these campuses, and these are the numbers which they would want to hire. Now again, it depends on the HR plan and how robust the HR planning function is. So if it is good, of course, it is all chances are there that the recruitment process is also going to be conducted well. And if it is not in place, then the things can go whichever way, right? Then the size of the business. So what kind of size of the business it is? Again, the recruitment can depend, as it's a large organization, whether it's a small organization, it's a sole proprietorship. So all those factors also affect the recruitment process of an organization. Costs and budgets. What kind of costs a company is dealing with? That is, what is the kind of budget for a particular position? See, if I want to hire an MBA, right, or let's say an engineering graduate, I can even go to IIT, I can even visit any of the local colleges in and around Delhi NCR which are there. Now what is the budget of that particular engineering trainee which I am thinking of? Depending on that, lot many things come up, like whether IIT engineer or graduate would be interested in applying for that kind of job. If I am just offering, let's say, 5 lakh or 4 lakh per annum kind of thing for an engineering graduate, I don't think that a person who's just graduating from IIT would be even bothered to look at that sort of job opportunity, right? So this is what is the cost and budget basis that we can have our recruitment process initiated. Then growth and expansion. Of course, if my company is stable, I'm not planning any growth, or these days we are having this pandemic, so definitely there is very slow growth in the economy itself. So the recruitments are going on a very slow pace. But within the organization, if I'm not planning to grow, I'm just sustaining my current operations, I will not be hiring anyone. So that is another internal factor. Now, talking about the external factor, as we know that organization is a open system impacted by the external environment as well. So first of all, supply and demand of that particular resource which we are looking at. For example, 2017 July, this was the GST was implemented. Now every company wanted some expert who could help them with their GST compliances. Now supply was limited of that particular professional who knew about GST, but the demand was very high. So that means again there would be some kind of uh, competition out there when we are looking for people, because the supply is limited of that particular talent, right? So external factors, what are the, we could not have controlled or brought out or trained people in a short time of frame. Labor market. Now what is labor market? Typically labor market is something which is what kind of cost that labor is demanding. So typically we are talking of pay scales. So if there is a lot of supply of that particular talent, definitely we can negotiate better. Because if not one person, I have another 10 candidates I can negotiate or talk with. But if the supply is limited, because GST, for example, let's say we are talking of 2018, the supply of GST professionals or those finance and accounts professional who had knowledge of GST were limited, they could demand a higher kind of package, and those companies who were able to afford them could have easily hired them. So that is what labor market is. Again, recruitment, attraction of the right kind of talent would have a major impact. Why? Because if I know, if I am a GST person or a person who knows about GST and everything, in 2018, and I know there are 10 companies looking for my kind of profile, I would be more attracted towards the company which is paying me more, where the employability conditions are better. So I'll be more interested to apply for that company rather than applying to a company which is not able to pay me more. So that is what labor market is, and that is how it impacts the recruitment process. Corporate brand, I just gave the example of Hindustan Unilever. These kind of brands, they attract the applicant pool. We don't have to make much effort. But if the company is a small company, is kind of nobody is aware about it because it is just one of the companies in that market. So there you will find it is difficult. A company has to make a lot of effort to attract the right kind of people. Political, social, legal environment. Again, if you know about Gurgaon, a lot of corporate companies or corporate offices are located in Gurgaon, which is a part of Haryana. Whereas again, Noida being another satellite town of Delhi, but then we do not see that kind of number there because Noida is in UP. So I'm just talking comparing two states here. It could be country wise, it could be globally. You can see how China and India now these days. What happens to Chinese companies in China now? A lot of global companies are planning to move out of China because of whatever recent happenings. So that is what political, socio-legal environment is, which impacts recruitment again. So if we know that the company is coming out of a region or not going to have a proper establishment there, we do not know the stability of the company, then as a person who's looking for a job may not be interested to apply for such a company. Or if there is some disturbance where that company is located, then again the applications might not be that many in number. If the company has a stable office in somewhere which is politically and socially and legally kind of a positive environment is there, there they would people would be more than willing to come and work because of that sort of environment. Last but not the least, the external factor is your competition. A lot of poaching happens. We will be explaining that term. So this competitor is, if your competition is hiring people at a slightly higher rate, then of course the same talent pool, because that company is your competition. So that means they will be hiring a similar kind of profile of people as you are looking for. So if your competition is paying more, then again your recruitment policy has to be in sync with your competition. Otherwise, if you're paying less than your competition, you will not be able to hire the right kind of people, right? Let me know if you have any queries. Stay tuned for more content.